Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, this is episode 110 of the Real Estate Investing Podcast, discussing how much money can you make off one land deal. I'm your host, Dan Rapke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured Discord members. Today's question is from Cody. I have my first 3 properties on the market and I'm getting a good amount of interest. I have them priced well. I have a general question. How long do I have, or how long should I wait until dropping the price to have the property move faster?
How long have they been on the market, Dan? Sorry.
I think it's been about 3 to 4 weeks.
And he's getting decent interest?
He says he's getting decent interest and it's priced well on here.
That's a tough one. Like, it's hard to really gauge this without knowing more about the situation. Obviously, dropping price will probably help you sell a little faster, but if it's not necessarily a slow moving market, but some properties just need the right buyer, to be honest. It's not about necessarily dropping price. It just needs to find the right buyer. I don't know if this is that situation or not. Sometimes it's a landlocked property that you have priced far under market value, but you just need the right buyer who's willing to maybe, with the easement, willing to build out a dirt road, but you have it priced correctly. So it's kind of evaluating that, but lowering the price is going to get you added interest. I don't like lowering the price from 35,000 down to 34,000. I really advise against that. Don't lower the price until you can lower it 10 to 15%. That's going to get you more buyers. So let's say you have a property listed for $37,000. And you're thinking like, maybe I should lower this to 35. Really, those $35,000 buyers are going to be the same buyers who are looking at your property at 37,000. If you lower it down to 31 or something like that, now you're going to get the buyers that are looking at land that's in the upper 20s. It's going to bring a whole new buyers pool to you when you drop significantly. But if you just keep on dropping 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, I'm not a huge fan of that because I don't think it brings new buyers. So that's what you got to focus on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Drop it enough, Ron, so it almost reaches a different audience and a different group of people that maybe didn't look at it before. We're filtering those out, that price range out. And now you enter a whole new list of people in that area. Really good answer, Ron. Let's get into the show. How much money can you make on a land deal, Ron? And I wanted to start this off by just talking about the average profit per deal average, because I don't want people saying, oh, they're making $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 per deal. Let's talk about the average profit per deal that we're making on average.
So right now we have bigger and smaller deals. Obviously, that's how an average comes about. But we're making anywhere. I don't have my numbers up in front of me. It's around high 19s. I want to say $19,000 to $20,000 is what we're making per deal in 2022. That number it fluctuates throughout the year, but it's basically, there are a lot of smaller deals that we do. Buy for 5, sell for 12,000, buy for whatever, 4, sell for 13, whatever it is. And then we obviously have deals that pull us up quite a bit, but our average is right now around $19,000. I think it's very realistic to do a high volume of deals with averages like this. And then you have your $100,000 deal profits that are really going to pull that up, while your $10,000 to $12,000 profits kind of keep you going, pay for that mail and everything like that.
Is that $19,000 to $20,000 including financing or funding we're getting?
Yes.
That is including it.
Yes. So, I mean, with us now, like if you're getting, it matters like what your funding situation is. It's going to be lower. Like your profit is going to be lower if you are brand new and your funding situation is worse. But as you prove yourself to those funders, you can get better funding partners, you can get cheaper money. So I think just proving yourself, not worrying as much about that at first, Daniel, just getting your funders good deals, I think is really important at first.
Yeah, but for the purpose of the show, we're talking about average profit per deal. Let's talk about profit per land. Like, what are we buying and selling it for? So not including funding or anything like that, because that's variable, right? We might be getting cheaper money than the most people, which we will be in our group, unless they're using their own money.
Yeah.
So let's just talk like average buy and sell, because that's a land deal. We're talking about land deals here.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I mean, average buy and sell is probably buy for 16 to $18,000 and sell for 40 if you just average everything out. Which obviously we have some funding, some deals, other deals we pay for ourselves. So yeah, whatever, $23,000 is what that will come out to. And then we have those deals. The majority of our deals are under that, though. To give you guys perspective, the majority of our deals are under $20,000 of profit. They're probably, I would say 15 is more so the median, where we have those $100,000 deals really pull it up. But I would say 15 is probably the median, while 22 to 23 is the average, if that makes sense, Dan.
It does. Yeah. So that's our average. So 20 about $23,000 on average. We have a lot bigger deals going on than that, but we have a lot of smaller deals going on than that. And the bigger ones are really pulling it up, because we'll get into that in the next section where we talk about what we see, Ron, versus what's normal. So like some of the different big deals that we see that maybe aren't normal, the buy for $1 million and sell for 1.8. You don't see that as much. We have seen them, but versus the norm, Ron, I think the norm, like we see a lot of buy for 100, sell for 250, buy for 300, sell for 600. Not as much that, but buy for 150 to 250 and sell for 500 to 600. Like that's a very normal deal. If you want to go after those, you will get those.
Yeah, those deals are without a doubt out there. We just had someone we're negotiating with right now who's asking for $2 million. It's probably worth like 3, 4, 3, 5 on 2,000 acres. So these deals come. It's a volume of mail. That's what happens. That's how you get those bigger deals where you make $1 million, make $800,000. But those buy for 200, sell for 400,000, sell for whatever 375. Those deals, there are a ton of those deals out there without a doubt, and there's a ton of sellers at that price range who are looking to sell as well. It's a volume though. Like you're not going to get, for every 2,000 mailers, you're not going to get a deal at that price range. And that's why we have the smaller deals too. But every 20, 30,000 mailers that we send at that price range, we're going to get a deal. So it's about balancing out your mail. That's a really important aspect of this.
Yeah, and also like when you're talking $2 million, Ron, you're not going to close that in 10 days. Like you got to find the money, you got to do all your due diligence on it. The purchasing period, I'd say, Ron, for something $1 to $1 million plus is going to be much greater, right? You're going to want to get realtors, multiple opinions on it. If it's commercial, get commercial eyes on it. Do extensive due diligence. So the more expensive you get on these deals, which yes, the profit goes up, the more specialized and the better you need to be at land investing and know what's going on and know the future use of that and know the subdivision if you're going to do that. Like there's just so much going on than just buying it real quick and selling it real quick. You got to do a lot of due diligence on these.
Without a doubt. And I think going back to like the lower price, not lower necessarily, but buy for 150, like those deals are deals where we'll close in 2 weeks, which is crazy to think. But you can do your due diligence and you just look at the market like there's no way this property I'm buying for 150 doesn't sell for 250. And those deals can happen really, really fast. Obviously, like you said, Dan, like you better be at $1 million. Very few people can just dish out $1 million to buy a property. So you get your funders together, you have a group of people who are willing to invest, but those deals are out there. That's what I kind of want this episode to lead to, people kind of adding zeros and imagining those bigger deals. That's how they happen, is you got to first imagine yourself getting one and putting your goals towards that. But at the same time, I think those smaller ones kind of keep you going on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and going back to specialization, Ron, I feel like if you're in an area where you've done all these different deals, you know what they're going to sell for, you know the market, you have good realtors, that's when I would feel comfortable putting $2 million up for a property within 10 days. If I maybe not two, but let's say $1 million,
Yeah.
right? We get a 1 million, we know what it's worth, we do our due diligence. I know the heck out of the area versus a place where I don't know, and all of a sudden I get a PA pack for $1 million to close in 10 days. I'm gonna be scrambling around for a realtor to look at it, doing all my due diligence. It just wouldn't make sense. The bigger deals, the more specialized. I just want to touch on that, Ron. You can definitely do this. It is not that hard to do. You will be able to add zeros, like Ron said, get $1 million plus properties. Just specialize in an area, because if you start sending mail to random areas you have no idea about and they come back for 900 grand, you're going to have no idea. And the amount of comps for land that's sold for over $1 million, Ron, is so minimal. You need to know the areas.
Yeah. And without, like, it's almost like targeting those under 100 acre or whatever it is, under $300,000 properties first, that first time you mail, and like you learn about things. And when you get deals in an area, I think that's where you kind of become an expert. Honestly, you don't become an expert in an area without selling any properties in the area, Daniel. You can send as much mail, talk to as much sellers, but until you're like talking to the buyers as well, talking to a couple realtors out there, it's really hard for you to fully understand. And I think you really don't know an area till you flip like 5 properties or so, Dan, because you'll notice that what buyers are interested in. You'll notice like the areas that buyers are interested, the areas that buyers aren't interested in, and then that's when you really become like uh, you just have a lot more knowledge on that specific county, that specific region of the state, whatever it is. And it doesn't happen a lot, Daniel, where you get that many deals and you from your first mailing and you become an expert, but it does happen, and you got to take advantage when that does, and you advantage of that knowledge.
I agree, and that's kind of we kind of discussed this, Ron. I did want to get into what's possible, how much you can make on a deal, Ron. And so we talked about 7 figures, but it comes down to the strategy. Like Ron said, our average, our median is like $15,000 a profit, which means we're probably buying for the low teens and selling for like 30, right, or low 30s or something. So those are great, but we send out a lot of consistent mail to get those, and we get bigger ones there too. But if you become more specialized, Ron, and send out less mail that's more specialized, or just less mail for higher dollars, and really start the negotiation. Higher dollar properties equals more negotiation. They're going to call, they're going to have questions, you're going to look at it. I mean, a property can swing 20% value. So that's 80. If a property is $100,000, it can go, down to $80,000. That's 20%, right? Only 20 grand. But all of a sudden you're talking about $2 million, Ron, or $1 million. That $1 million goes to 800 grand. That's $200,000. So negotiations much more powerful for higher dollar properties, Ron. And you can have a strategy. You can do 2 deals a year, making 500 grand off a deal, or you can do, 50 deals a year, making $13,000 of profit. So there are 2 different business models. You could trickle the big ones in. I'm not saying you have to choose one way or another, but if you want to just do very big deals and just do a couple of them and focus on them and put your time and energy into project management and surveying and splitting the land and all that, that's a good opportunity. That's a really good business model. You can do it, but your business is reliant on 1 or 2 deals.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm sure there's people doing it. I don't know if we have any in our community who are very like they're saying no to buy like cheaper deals. They're just saying no. They have deals coming across and they're focused on those huge deals. And if you're project based, like you were talking about, and you have subdividing in mind or stuff like that, like you can turn a $500,000 purchase into $2 million. I don't think
Easy.
there's any doubt in it. Like you buy the right property in the right area with the right subdivision code and all of that, like you can easily, I don't want to say easy, but you can definitely $500,000. You put 200, 150, 200 grand into improvements, which are just essentially roads or splitting the property with surveys. And you sell whatever you sell 30 different properties or whatever it is, you can quadruple your money, in my opinion. And it's a growing industry or a growing niche in this industry without a doubt, but you got to know what you're doing. You got to have relationships. You got to understand these things.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have too much to add to that, Ron, on what's possible. You just know there are people doing 7 figure deals out there, and you don't need a lot of them to make really, really good money and to make a really, really good business, Ron.
Yeah, and if you're in this community and you like obviously very like I said before, very few people have $1 million just like that they're ready to put into a deal, but there is money in this community if you find the right deals, if you have the right strategy, if you have the relationships in these areas. You can do this with like someone who started yesterday with $5,000 of marketing money could theoretically have a deal that they were buying for 500 and selling for 2 million. If you invest in education, you build some relationships in this community.
Yeah, well, that's all I have. Guys, if you have not, please share this with someone who has similar interest than you. They want more freedom, they want to make more money, whatever it is. Please share this podcast. It really helps us spread our mission and grow as a business. But other than that, thank you for joining, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks, guys.